love lives here.
And before we do, I want to share with you that here at Centers for Spiritual Living Worldwide, we are working with the theme of timeless wisdom, evolutionary vision for the year 2021. And as we are coming to the end of 2021, we are already beginning to look ahead at 2022, and the theme for that year is back there on the wall, is living everyday wonder. And so this month of December, we are having an opportunity to review and to look back on the year that has been, and we have the opportunity to look ahead as well. And so the theme for this month is the journey of becoming, which is also what we are talking about today, is the journey of becoming. So ministerial school for us here at Centers for Spiritual Living is a little bit different, perhaps, than for some other faith traditions. Does that really come as a surprise to you? Right? Because we're a little bit different, aren't we? Yeah, we are. Just a little bit, yeah. As it should be. And some people say, we're special. Anyway, in ministerial school, we study the way that Ernest Holmes studied, and we study a lot of the subjects that Ernest Holmes studied. Remember that Ernest Holmes was a great synthesizer, right? He was looking for the golden thread of truth throughout all of the world's major faith traditions, and so he studied the world's major faith traditions. And he also studied science, and he also studied philosophy. He also studied psychology. He also studied education. Sound familiar? So when he put together the text that is referred to as the science of mind, what you see is the science of mind, a faith, a philosophy, and a way of life is the subtitle to that. And when we look at the science of mind, I want us to be clear. I've shared this in the past, but every time, when we focus on this, I want to make sure that we're clear as to really what it is that we are talking about there. That science is the methodical study of something, right? It is the logical and methodical study of something. And the something that we are studying is mind. And another word for mind is actually consciousness. So what it is that we are about here is that we are about the methodical study of consciousness, which is why our School of Spiritual Leadership and the degree that we receive is a master's degree in consciousness studies. Make sense? So today we're going to look at some of those aspects, the aspects that we don't always look at, some more of the philosophical aspects, perhaps, more of the scientific aspects, perhaps, just a little bit. We're just going to touch into that. So don't freak out, okay? Philosophy, right? Science, we're kind of talk chemistry. No, we're going to talk quantum physics instead. How's that? There you go. All right, so this journey of becoming, right? There are so many theories about how we become, how we journey, how we move about. So one of the ways the first thing I want to do is I want to share with you something from Ernest himself. And he says that nature will not let us stay in one place for too long. She will let us stay just long enough to gather the experience necessary for the unfolding and advancement of the soul. So nature won't let us stay in one place for too long. She'll let us stay just long enough for the necessary experience, to gather the experience necessary for the unfolding and advancement of the soul. So we are always on this journey of becoming, that we never really arrive, correct? That we are always moving. It is an evolutionary journey. We've talked about this, that the theme for this year of Timeless Wisdom, Evolutionary Vision has been, the underlying theme or the underlying movement has been this journey of an upward spiral where we continue to spiral and we continue to expand our consciousness. We continue to expand our awareness and our understanding. As we revisit themes throughout the year, we keep revisiting and we keep going back. And the next time we take a pass at it on the spiral, this evolutionary spiral, that we are looking at it from a different perspective. So last week we talked about the release part of lay it down. And we had that beautiful ceremony here where everybody had the opportunity to deposit, whatever it is they are choosing to release as we move into this holiday season and as we move into the new year, to release that, and it dissolved into the water, because we know that water is purifying, water transmutes, and water is life, right? And so we have that opportunity. So today, with this journey of becoming, we also have the opportunity of opening up to what it is that we are called to embrace, and the truth that we are called to embrace. And that's where we get into some of this nitty-gritty, fun, good stuff, right? You've already heard the major truth that we are called to embrace when Jabel and the guy sang one power, that there is only one power in the universe, one presence, one life, one love. You hear me say it all the time. That is all, through all, as all. That in the beginning it was, and it was, is, and always shall be. There is only this one, and each one of us is an individualized expression of this one life. Each one of us is joyous in our expression. It is the fullness of life expressing itself joyfully and fully and completely, whether we are experiencing joy in the moment or not. Spirit is expressing joyfully and joyously, because it could be no other way for it to express. So here's where we dip into a little bit of quantum physics and a little bit of other stuff, okay? So consciousness can't be consciousness unless it has something to be conscious of. Let me say it again. Consciousness can't be conscious unless it has something to be conscious of. So we, as human beings, we as spiritual beings, are self-aware, I hope. Yes? Maybe? Perhaps? Right? We can think, and we can realize that we're thinking. We can know that we're thinking, right? And because we are a microcosm of the macrocosm, then what we know is that we too can use the creative process. We too can plant that thought, plant that seed, plant that idea, plant that belief into the fertile soil of consciousness, into that fertile soil of mind, and that something will result, and that is the form that is in direct correlation to what it is that we have planted into the soil, right? And we talked a couple weeks ago where when we experience visioning, what we're doing is we're opening up to Spirit's highest idea of itself. We're opening up to that highest consciousness, that high idea. And so we receive that high idea, an involution. We receive that high idea, and then we plant that idea into the soil. And then that is what comes forward. Right? Rather than having to always come up with, well, I think this year I'm going to plant tomatoes, right? We listen, we're guided, right? We open to that guidance, to receive that guidance. And so that's that part of the V that comes into the bottom point, called the involution piece. And then there is the evolution piece, where we plant it back into the soil, and we then are on the return to that spiritual realm that then continues to flow, right? Continues to create, always creating. So it is that piece there, that quantum physics piece, where where the waves collapse and become a particle. It's another way of looking at that, with the waves up here collapsing and becoming a particle, becoming form, taking form. And how do they take form? They take form based on the consciousness. They take form based on how the wave was thought of or created. The wave moves, and then it crystallizes through thought and into form. Cool? All right. So there is another thinker named Arthur Young, who created the Bell helicopter, by the way. And he was a mathematician, and he was a philosopher as well. And he too had this idea of this reflexive universe of an involution and an evolution. And so what he talks about with this same V kind of structure is he talks about going from light to enlightenment. So light, the photons, are acted upon by forces that create atoms, that create molecules, which then create life, which then creates mind, which then goes back to spirit. And so it's coming from the dimensionless light into light or spirit, into what he has there is soul, and then he has mind, and then he has body. So he actually has 4 rather than the 3 that we see. He has 4. And once we're there at the bottom, then it returns back from body through mind, soul, and spirit. With me so far? This is where it kind of gets a little philosophical. So again, what we're seeing is we're seeing light, which we already are. Everything is made up of light, and we can recognize that we are only a limited spectrum, that our eyes can only see very, very small section of light itself. So what appears to be dark is light. What appears to be light is light. What appears and is beyond our realm of vision even is light. So it goes from this light into crystallized form and then returns to light. But when it returns to light, what it is it's self-actualized, it's self-aware. So it moves from light to enlightenment. And how does it do that? It does that through life. It does that through the evolutionary process that creates self-aware beings, self-aware, self-actualized beings, which on this plane of existence, in this time, in this space, at least on this planet, is us. And so it is through us that spirit, that light itself is knowing itself. So this journey, it's a journey of being, but it's a journey of becoming. That spirit, undefined, unformed substance, becomes matter, becomes form, and this form that becomes life, that is life itself, in the way that we know of life, then becomes more and more aware of itself through our consciousness to become enlightened. So it is a being to a becoming. One of the translations there in Exodus, when Moses is at the burning bush and say, who shall I say sent me? And the bush, the voice in the bush says, I am that I am. One of the translations is actually, I am that I am becoming. I am that I am becoming. Because there is this forever expanding, forever growing, forever knowing of the omnipotence, omnipresence, and omniscient, right? That it is forever expanding, it is forever growing, it is forever knowing itself. So it is forever being, but it is also forever becoming, because it goes from infinite possibility to form, back to yet another idea, another possibility, back into form, back into another possibility, back into form. It is forever becoming, it is forever being, it is forever evolving, it is forever growing. And so what is true of spirit, what is true of the one life, because what are we? We are the divine made manifest, we are spirit made manifest, we are light made manifest in this form. Therefore, whatever is true of it must be and has to be true of each one of us. But what we have the opportunity to do, what we have the opportunity to be, is to consciously, intentionally become more aware of and become more of who we already are. Right? So there's a couple of quotes here that I do want to share with you, because when I was looking at this, I was like, oh, this is so yummy, and so this is so juicy. So Joan Chitster, that's a mouthful, says, heaven is becoming what I am and have always been, and I am meant to be in full. Richard Rohr, life is a matter of becoming fully and consciously who we already are. St. Hildegard, become who you are, become all that you are. And Dr. Jim Lockhart says, we are evolutionary beings designed to emerge layer by layer in response to an increasingly complex environment. The tools for managing and supporting our evolutionary growth are our spiritual practices. We are evolutionary beings designed to emerge layer by layer in response to an increasingly complex environment. The tools for managing and supporting our evolutionary growth are our spiritual practices. Our spiritual practices of visioning, meditation, affirmative prayer, sacred service, committed giving, and study. So the way that we realize our highest potential, one of the ways, primary way, is through that transformative power of love. But what does that mean, that transformative power of love? What is the way? The way of realizing our highest potential that we talk about in We Embolden People to Live Their Highest Potential, the way that we realize our highest potential is through those spiritual practices. That is one of the tools that we have that help us to realize our highest potential. And what is our highest potential? It is a recognition of our oneness. It is a recognition and awareness of the divinity of the who of who we are. It is a recognition of our oneness with all of life, with all of creation. It is an awareness of spirit. It is an awareness of spiritual law. It is an awareness of the one as us. And if we look at Arthur's model, it starts with we can have an awareness, we can have a physical awareness with our bodies, yes? We can have a physical awareness with our bodies. Then we can have a logical or reasoning awareness with our minds. Mind, right? We can also have a feeling or emotional awareness, which is our souls. But where the real awareness is in that dimensionless, is in that mystical realm, is in that absolute divine experience of our oneness, where we know that we know that we know beyond the physical, beyond the mental, even beyond the feeling or emotional level. There is that which Goldsmith calls conscious union with the divine. Where when we look at it from the four kingdoms of consciousness that we've talked about before, it's the as me. It's that place that we can prepare for. It's that place that we can practice our spiritual practices and open us up to that, and then simply allow and be present and experience what is called a numinous experience, which is a direct experience of the divine. Ernest Holmes said that each one of us can be a revealer of truth. Everyone can be a revealer of truth who lives in close union with spirit. Each one of us is a revealer of truth. Each one of us has access to the divine wisdom of the ages. Each one of us has access to the infinite compassion and infinite power. Each one of us has access to the inner peace, the peace that passes all understanding, because it is right where we are, always and forever present, when we become conscious of it. And how do we become conscious of it? Through spiritual practice. We keep coming back to our spiritual practice, coming back to spiritual practice, coming back to spiritual practice. And then we too become the divine revealer of truth. We too are then living the highest potential that is available to us in that given moment. And remember that we are always on the spiral. We are always continuing to grow, continuing to deepen. While we're growing higher, we're also growing deeper. That we are continuing this spiral of expansion, the spiral of awareness. And we have the opportunity, Anita, there you go. And we have the opportunity, you can click that. We have the opportunity, I just said it 4 times, there you are, just for you, Anita, to deepen, and we have the opportunity to make the choice to do so. I have to share with everybody that Anita, we were at a practitioner holiday party yesterday, and evidently there was a minister years ago who would frequently say, And we have the opportunity, and we have the opportunity, and we have the opportunity, to the point where Anita would sometimes count how many times the person was saying, and we have the opportunity. And so it's funny that she planted that seed in my head last night. So I had to call it out, and that's at least 7 now. So there you are. To the point where, she would whisper to Allison what the number was, until Allison would bruise her thigh. Stop it, shh, shh, right? So what I'd like to do right now is, because it is spiritual practice that gets us there, it's spiritual practice that does this. One of the spiritual practices that Ed and I really enjoy, that we participate in on a daily basis, regular basis, is called contemplative meditation. And what contemplative meditation, it's the form that Ed and I practice, the contemplative meditation that Ed and I practice, is based on some of the work of Joel Goldsmith. And what Goldsmith says is, you take a spiritual truth, or a spiritual passage, a very short one, something that resonates with you, something that you want to explore more deeply, and you take that into the silence on a daily basis and allow the spiritual truth and your contemplation of the spiritual truth to reveal its meaning to you, to reveal the depth of meaning to you. Because as I mentioned, we are points of light. We are beings of light. We have access to the light all the time. And so one of the ways that we become enlightened is to contemplate spiritual truth through this contemplative meditation. So what I'm going to do is give you an example of what this looks like, but I'm going to speak it out loud, but this is something that we do in our heads quietly, okay? So just go with me. So the basic premise of contemplative meditation is you're contemplating a phrase every day for as long as the phrase wants to stay with you. Month, a year, however long, until you've kind of really plumbed the depths of that. But you want to do it at least for a month, I would say, to really begin to notice and experience some changes. And so you use that phrase as a jump-off point, and Neil also uses this quite frequently too. You use that as a jump-off point, and it simply allows Spirit to guide you wherever it's going to guide you, allow the truth to be revealed however it's going to be revealed. I'm going to do it out loud. That way you have an idea of the way it works, but you would normally be doing this silently. Does that make sense? All right. So I invite us all just to go ahead and close our eyes. And so the phrase that we're going to be working with today around this journey of becoming is that phrase that I mentioned a little while ago. I am that I am becoming. I am that I am becoming. And so we turn within, and I take this phrase in. I am that I am becoming. I am that I am becoming. I am. One name, the one power, the one presence. I am. I am all that there is, ever was, ever will be. I am. I am. God is. I am. And I am becoming. Becoming. First, I must be. I must be and be aware of the power and the presence that I am. I must be. Be the light, be the joy, be the peace, be the harmony, be the one, be the wisdom. I must be. Must be still. Be still and simply open and allow. Be still and know that I am. I am. I am. And in this being, I recognize that I am coming to Spirit. That I am aligning myself right here and right now with Spirit itself. That I am bringing myself into alignment with the high idea for my life, the high idea for the planet, the high idea for life itself, not just my life, but life itself. I am being, and then I am able to come. First I must be, then I can come. First I must be aware of my oneness with all of life, with all of creation, and then I can come to the understanding and the ability to move mountains. The ability to walk across water to the high idea, the high consciousness that is spirit. First I must be, and then spirit can beckon me to come. And so I keep my eyes stayed there. I keep my eyes lifted. Keep my eyes lifted on the truth. And I am able to walk, assuredly. I am maintained and sustained, lifted, guided, guarded, governed by the love that is all. And so I am. I am that I am becoming. And that is spirit. That is one. That life is my life now. The one life. The all in all. The isness. I am that I am becoming. And so I invite you, beloveds, this week to take this phrase or any other phrase that resonates with you as we spend this month of becoming, on this journey of becoming. I invite you to take this phrase or one like it, whatever resonates with you, whatever speaks to you this holiday season. I invite you to take that into contemplative meditation. It doesn't have to be long, but just allow the wisdom that is inherent in the spiritual truth, the wisdom that is inherent, that has already been revealed, to continue to reveal itself to you, through you, and as you. And so it is. And so on this journey of becoming, I invite our practitioners and our core council to please stand and surround the sanctuary. And Tricia, you too, please stand and surround the sanctuary. These beloveds are in service to this community of becoming. Each one, too, is walking their own journey of becoming, just as I am myself, just as we all are. And so we come together to support each other in this journey, and so we turn within once again, recognizing that there is just the one power, the one presence, recognizing that it is the all, in all, through all, as all, that it is spirit, it is God, it is joy, it is love, it is peace, it is harmony, recognizing that there is nothing but this one life, recognizing that all life, each person, each being is an individualized expression of this one life, knowing itself, consciously aware of itself as each one, as all of it, as the totality is consciousness, knowing consciousness. Conscious of the consciousness that it is. And consciousness is the ground of all being, is the ground of all becoming. And so I recognize here and now that I am one with this one. I am one with all of life, with all of creation. I am one with everyone present here this day. And so I speak my word here and now for this beloved community, knowing that we are on a journey of discovery, knowing that we are on a journey of becoming, knowing that we are on an upward spiral of enlightenment. We are moving each moment from light to enlightenment. That we are on this beautiful path, this beautiful journey that is forever supported, forever maintained, forever sustained, forever experiencing itself through our lives. We are on this perfect journey of love, of joy, of passion, of peace. And in each moment, we say yes to that. We say yes to the journey. We say yes to the next indicated step. We allow ourselves to be guided along the way, along the journey, knowing that there is nothing that stands in our way. There is no obstacle. So we embrace all of it. We embrace all of life. We embrace each experience for the gift that it is. We say yes to it. We say yes to life. We say yes to spirit, and we know that I am becoming. And we allow this wisdom to continue to teach, to continue to inform, to continue to reveal itself through each one of us and through our community. And so we are the light. We carry the light, we share the light, we spread the light out into the world. For we are light beings having a light experience, an experience of enlightenment, showing the way and guiding others, allowing them to have a similar and the same experience, a glorious experience. And so I give thanks here and now for this revelation. I give thanks here and now for this realization. I give thanks for this beloved community. I release this word knowing that it is already fulfilled, it is already done, because in the beginning it was, and it always shall be. And so it is.
Love lives